Hey there, my name is Bartosz Gawarecki, or you can call me Bartos, and I'm the owner of Vitas Home Care, a home care company based in Lansing, Michigan. And I've done a couple videos about the Home Help Program through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services regarding elderly or disabled people that could qualify for going to a nursing home. And there's an alternative program to the Home Help Program. It's called the MI Choice Waiver Program. It's through the Tri-County Office on Aging. Now, each region of Michigan has an Office on Aging of some sort, but because I'm in Lansing, I know and have worked with the Tri-County Office on Aging, which is Ingham, Clinton, and Eaton counties. Now, the way this program is pretty similar to the Home Help Program, but it's a little more intense, a little more, how do I say, a little more extensive, and the amount of care is greater than what you would receive with the Home Help Program. Typically, people that have more serious physical or mental issues and disabilities, they will be more likely to go through the waiver program, which can offer more services than the Home Help Program. And I want to talk about how someone can qualify for the waiver program and what kinds of things you can do to help someone apply for their services. Now, the qualifications for the waiver program are similar to the Home Help Program, that the person must be older than 18, the client must be a Michigan resident, and must have active Medicaid. Now, this actual screening process, the waiver program is a little more intense than the home help services. It's harder to get in, basically, into the waiver program. And the reason why is there has to be much more hands-on activity than through the home help program. Now, if, let's say, grandma cannot live by her own anymore, she's starting to lose her independence, the main things that can qualify a person for the waiver program are activities for daily living. And the things that the waiver program really looks is hands-on care. Let's say a caregiver has to come into the home. There has to be some sort of physical help. There are four main criteria that Tri-County will check. The first one is bed mobility. Does the client or grandma need help transferring from the bed, in the bed, around the bed, and how much? The second thing is transfers. So, does the client need help transferring to and from the bed to a chair, a wheelchair, to a standing position, maybe to the bath or toilet, and how much help is needed? Is it limited assistance, or is it is the client very dependent on this kind of help? Third possible help that Tri-County looks for is toilet use. So does the client need help with toileting? Is the client incontinent? What kinds of help in the bathroom does the client need? The last one is eating. Can the client eat independently, or does there have to be serious supervision and oversight? And if grandma or grandpa needs help with any one of those things, there's a whole point system that Tri-County uses, but essentially, if they need serious help with any one of those things, then that's one way to qualify. As long as they have that, plus they're older than 18, have active Medicaid, and are a Michigan resident, and need help with like one of these physical activities, will probably qualify. The other way, there are, I think, 7 different ways that a person can qualify, but I'll talk just about the main ones. So the first one was physical daily activities. The second way that a person can qualify is through if they have issues with cognitive performance. Like if they can't remember things, if they can't express themselves, if their short-term memory is damaged or hindered, then this is another way that someone can qualify on the waiver program. A third way that someone can qualify is if a physician is involved often. So if someone has dialysis, for example, even though they're not 65 or necessarily completely disabled, the fact that they have to go through dialysis, it's very difficult for someone to basic daily functions after spending the day at the hospital. And this is another example of how a person can qualify for the waiver program. And there are a couple other, like for example, if someone has rehabilitation therapy or has certain behavioral issues, these kinds of things can also qualify a person. But from my experience, typically someone, for example, if grandma is bedridden or can't walk by herself, or if someone has Down syndrome, for example, they can't function on their own and needs to be cared for at all times. These kinds of things are what the waiver program can be more effective at helping than home help services. Basically, waiver program is a more intense home help program. The way that the application process looks like is you can call the number that's right here. It's this one, 517-887-1440, and you can ask for services from the waiver program for community living services, and they will ask, one of the caseworkers will ask for the client's information, again, like name, address, contact information, social security, or the Medicaid recipient ID, and they'll do a pre-assessment to see if they think the person may or may not qualify, if they're on the border. They will then schedule an assessment, probably a month later. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it takes just a week, sometimes it takes a month and a half, depends on the caseload. But they'll then, if they think during the pre-assessment, which they can actually do just on the phone, you don't have to go to their office, they don't have to come to you, they can do the pre-assessment over the phone. If they think that the client grandma will qualify, they will then schedule an assessment a month and a half later down the road. A nurse and a social worker will come, and they will do usually an hour to 2 hour assessment and ask very detailed questions about the family structure, the finances, as well as the actual daily living support, community living support that is needed for the client. And if the person is determined to be qualified, then they can become a waiver client. Now, through the Home Help DHS program, an individual can provide services for a client without an agency involvement. But with the waiver program, it's very rare to have an individual provider taking care. Usually you have to go through an agency. But a family member can provide services for another family member through the waiver program. You just have to go through an agency. And honestly, this is a better option for everybody because the agency will help the provider, the caregiver, with all the information they need, all the paperwork, and all these things. And so once a person qualifies, you can find Tri-County can perhaps help you find an agency that can either hire a caregiver or can hire you as a family member or or a family friend to care for the individual. And I have a Google Doc with more information, and it's in the description below. And I've left some contact information if you have any more questions regarding the waiver program or the home help program or other services for the elderly. But that's all I have for now, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching the video. I really hope that I helped provide some value and some new information, because these things are kind of hard to find online and to find like concrete answers. Usually you have to do a lot of digging, and then even then you won't find all the answers. So if you have any questions about a specific case, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I hope that this helps you. Take care.